I probably felt the most joy during my chemo experience.
Really?
Yeah. So much so that I remembered at the beginning of this year, like praying for joy. Like I just felt like I was going through like such a rough season that I was like, I just want the joy that I had. And joy doesn't mean that things are going well. Joy just means like a peace in your heart. And I had like such peace in my heart during chemo. And it was because I took myself out of like the driver's seat. And I was like, this is your plan. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do whatever it is you want me to do. I'm clearly here to meet people or to be in this situation. And so I did. I tried to like just use that opportunity sitting in there. I was clearly the youngest person sitting in that room. And that's like a mind game. Like to walk into a room with like 70-year-old people.
They were probably staring at you like,
who were sick.
What are you doing here?
I know. And I was always like, should I do a cartwheel? Can I do a cartwheel? Is it weird if I do a cartwheel down the hallway? And they're like, don't
do a split.
Don't do they're like, don't do that. I'm like trying to make TikTok dances in there. And I'm like, this lady's like looking at me and she's like all hooked up to her chemo. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
I have to do it for the gram.
Not grams.
No.
The Instagram,
yeah,
right?
the Instagram.
Just want to make sure that you're not talking about the 70, 80-year-old lady getting chemo.
No. That was funny.
Young Junk!
All right. Hey, welcome back to Path to Possible. Today we have a great show. We have Alyssa Agavino-Kilgore. Very cool. We haven't connected since I think 8th grade was the last time we actually hung out.
Yep.
Right. And I'm looking forward to hearing your path because now we're 40 and you're what? You're 30, what?
I'm 31.
Yeah, you're
I'm
31. All right. Yeah,
40.
no, that's cool. So, you know, it's interesting to see your many hats that you're wearing on Facebook, but I don't really know anything about you.
No.
And I would love to hear, so what hat are you going to wear first? And, you know, let's just talk about your path to how you got here.
Okay. The biggest, most important hat that I have is mom. I have 4 kids. I have a 17-year-old. Everybody just had a birthday. So I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And it's crazy. It is crazy because we just had prom last week. And so it's like bringing back all of these memories. And it's like, so I know like what you're going to do or what you think you're going to do. Cause I'm like, I remember what I did.
Right.
So it's interesting and cool and crazy to, you know, have older kids and be in this season of my life. And I always wanted to be a mom. And so when I went to school for nursing because I knew that that would be something that I could do around everybody's schedule. And I did. For the longest time, I would work like 3 to 11 shifts, which were perfect. Like I could take all the kids to preschool and I could still be homeroom mom. And then I would leave and go to work. And then I would be at work until 11:30 and I would work with these younger girls and they would be like, oh yeah, you know, we get home at 11:30 and we go out and then we get up the next day at like 10, 11 o'clock. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm up at 6 the next day. Like I don't do that anymore. But that was great. I loved nursing. I have been a nurse for 19 years and I love being able to help people. But I don't know, I would say like 12 years ago, somebody introduced me to some weight loss products. Like I had just had the 3rd baby. I couldn't lose the baby weight. Right. Somebody introduced me to Isogenics, which was this like weight loss system. And they were like, if you tell a couple people, you can get your products paid for. And I was like, absolutely not. I will not be doing that. I was like, those women who do that are weird and they're scammy. And I was like, I will not do that. I probably had so much success within the first 2 weeks that I was like telling everybody, I was like, you should try this. You should be on this. You should use this. You should use this. And so it ended up turning into this like accidental business that I didn't even realize was a thing. And I kind of fell in love with the industry of network marketing for 12 years. And
you've been doing Isogenics for 12 years?
For 12 years.
Wow.
Just because I was like using the products and I was sharing them with other people and people were having success using the products. So it felt like another way to help other people. And then, you know, like money attached to network marketing is like a beautiful business model. And it's like a business model that other moms who are staying home can do. You know, like you're staying home. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to go get a job.
Mhm.
Like your kids are little. And how easy was it for your wife to work while your kids were little?
It wasn't.
Yeah, it
No.
was impossible.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm surprised you said that you went into nursing because you wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And I always think about some of the things that people do, like a lot of teachers.
Hmm.
You know, they want to have off summers with their families.
Yeah.
And my wife only wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And she said it in the last podcast. I don't know if you saw it. I just uploaded it today. Um, she only wanted to be a mom. And, you know, she was in marketing and doing a great job. She was a business major. Did great, but her path was not to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't to own a business. It was just to be a mom.
Yeah.
And she enjoyed every bit of it. So you went into nursing to be a mom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden just fell into isogenics,
Yeah.
which is great.
I started making money and like I didn't even understand how I made money most of the time.
Mhm.
Like I would get these like compensation checks and I would be like, how did I do this? And so like I was learning as I was earning along the way, which was really cool that, you know, you have the opportunity to do that. And I was helping other women do that too. And then there were all these like incentives that ended up happening because of it. Like we had little kids and then we would earn these trips. And these were trips that we would never have taken ourselves because we never would have been like, hey, you know what? Let's take $10,000 and let's go to Cabo. Like we would never we could never justify that.
No.
So we were having like all of these experiences that, you know, were being awarded to us. So like that was a perk of it too, especially being a mom. I was like, nobody really recognizes me for doing the things that I do. So like here it was like great validation.
That's amazing. And they allowed you to bring your kids um to the trips or no? Was it just you and your husband, Tim?
So you could,
Okay.
but I wasn't going to. I was like, bye kids, love you.
Yeah.
Mommy and daddy are going to go away for a little bit.
Good for you.
There was one trip that was like a family trip. It was for Disney. So we brought all of them with us to Disney. And I mean, that was fun. But if you've ever been to Disney, that's not a vacation. That's slave labor.
So we took our kids to Disney in April.
You just love it, don't you?
Well, no. Well, I hated it because I sat the night before. I went to bed at like 8:30 with my son, and we were going to surprise him in the morning with a trip to Disney. Well, 12:30, all of a sudden, food poisoning hits
Oh,
me.
no.
So I'm like, it's all right. When I'm sick, I can usually bust a vodka and I can get through anything
Okay.
if I just start drinking again. And I was so excited for this trip. It was months in the planning and months in the making, and we finally get there, and it's my birthday weekend for my 40th.
Okay.
So the night before food poisoning hits, I don't stop, uh, throwing up until like we left at I think the house at 4:30 to go to the airport. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, all I got to do is just get on this plane, lock that door so they don't stop this plane or get me off it.
Yeah.
So there's a delay, an hour delay, because a lady in the front row would not give her kids headphones. And how's he going to hear it? This and that. And then the F words started going crazy.
Oh, no.
She's fighting with the flight attendants. And all of a sudden, she gets booted from the plane. I'm sitting there listening to my book, and I'm like,
Try not to barf.
Yeah.
All the smells of the plane.
So
Somebody next to you decides that they're going to eat the hard-boiled eggs that they packed, and you're like, what?
Thank you. You're turning my stomach again.
Oh,
so
sorry.
the guy next to me just keeps moving, and he's got the sleep mask on, and his eyes are covered. I'm like, if I hit him, does he know where it's coming from?
Oh.
And you know when you're on a plane and you have all the anxiety and all the feels, and you're like, you got to get me off this plane. Got to get me off this plane. So we're ascending up.
Mm-hmm.
I start beelining to the bathroom, and the flight attendant's like, "I'm sorry, sir. You have to get back in your seat. We are going up, and you need to be in a seatbelt." I said, "Look, lady, if I'm not in this bathroom," I said, "and this plane goes down," I said, "we're all in trouble because
I'm gonna barf on you.
and I didn't realize how small they were. I
Oh
have
yeah.
never sat down on those toilets. I have never. The only thing I done was pee, and I stood up, and I never realized how
You should
small they
try
were.
to change a baby in those bathrooms.
Oh, well, I see they
Yeah.
have a thing
Uh-huh.
every time, and I always thought about like pulling it down and doing like a Mad Libs or something on it.
Did you? Because they smell horrible.
No, I can't smell anything. I got a narrow passage, and with allergies, I never smell anything.
No,
So
bathrooms are horrible.
so this time was different. I had to get on the dirty floor, so I'm pulling napkins
You're
from that.
standing up over it, trying to barf on
Well,
it.
I thought I was going to, but no, I was on a one knee, all crunched up like this, and I'm like, this is bad. So then I go 4 times. I pull every muscle in my stomach.
Because you're old.
I'm all
Because you're 40 now.
Well, I wasn't 40 at the time. I was
Yeah.
30. I was 39 and 11 months and like 28 days.
Makes a difference.
So it does make a difference, yes. So I rip like I just strain every muscle. Now I can't walk.
You can't walk 20,000 steps a day in Disney?
No. And my wife wanted to get me one of those scooters. And I was like, I am not spending my 40th birthday on a scooter in Disney.
On a jazzy scooter.
You know, you can't make this up. And unfortunately, I couldn't walk when we were leaving. Well, you know what? Let me go back. So I sit in this hotel room. Awful. Disney hotel rooms they don't have chairs. They have uncomfortable furniture, and they got Murphy beds that come out of the wall. So all you're doing is just hanging your hat and going to bed
Yeah.
at a Disney resort, and they just want you to get out of our room,
Yeah.
not sit there and enjoy. So at least the Masters were on that weekend, but I couldn't move. So that Friday, I was like, I'm gonna muscle this up. I'm going to the pool. So I walked down to the pool. I got there like 20 minutes later, and it's only right outside my door. I get there and I asked the lady, I said, "Hey," I was like, "I'm really sorry to ask." I said, "Is this pool heated?" And she goes, "Yeah, yeah, of course." So I get in. It is not heated. It is bitter, ice cold. I think it's like 10:30 in the morning. The kids are all at they're all at Hollywood Studios, which is my favorite. And they're all having a great time. Well, the pool is cold. I mean, ice cold. And I thought I had the rail. No, I started falling, and I fell. I hit my head on
Oh,
the wall,
gosh.
and I was like, "That's it. I'm done. Absolutely finished with this trip." So I told the wife, I said, "Look, we're out of here." I said, we have nothing scheduled on my birthday. So I spent my birthday in a plane
On the way back.
with a blanket, but she had to push me through the airport on a wheelchair. People are looking at me like, "What's wrong with him?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Why are you staring?
Yeah.
Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Mind your business.
Mind your business." Right. So yeah, obviously that trip was not great. I have to make it up to my kids.
To do it again.
No, you know what? Probably because I do like Disney at a distance. And Fantasmic's one of my favorites. But we're not going to Cabo.
No.
One of my companies, we're not sending anybody other than to, I think Michigan is the next place we might be going
For like a convention of
for
some
a
sort.
convention,
Yeah.
right? But I saw you going to Cabo. I think one was what, Aruba.
We had this like cruise that was like to Aruba and Curacao and all kinds of places. We did Disney, we did Mexico a bunch of times. It was just great because like you don't get that kind of recognition when you're a nurse. Like I used to laugh. I would do some training for isogenics on stage and like talk about like why the business or the industry was important. And I would be like, for nurses, I was like, for like nursing week, like when they would reward the nurses, we would get like pens or we would get like an umbrella. I said one year we got these like, I mean, it wasn't like a rape whistle, but it was like a whistle. It was a safety whistle. And they're like, this is for you guys in case you guys have dangerous patients. And I was like, I don't want a dangerous patient or this whistle. So it is just nice. And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that there were all kinds of ways to make money outside of like traditional 9 to 5. I still struggle sometimes with my husband, like when I'm finding these different adventures. I still struggle trying to explain to him like that these things exist. Since the isogenics had started to do some affiliate marketing, because that's where everything seems to go. And if you follow the world of network marketing, you see all these companies are like slowly closing down. And these companies that have been around for forever, and it's because they're changing their business model, because now they no longer have to pay people to build these teams when random average people like you and I want to be affiliates for them. I mean, that's TikTok Shop. I started playing around on there.
Oh, awesome.
And doing some affiliate marketing. And companies really are interested in hiring a regular person and sending them samples of their products and having them advertise it instead of paying celebrities, I don't know, thousands, millions of dollars so that they can say that, you know, they like a product that they probably don't even use.
Right. Well, I mean, like as teachers, nurses, it's a thankless job,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and a lot of people love accolades and awards, and you know, nurses don't get those a lot.
No.
The one thing I wanted to bring up was the biggest thankless job, or the most thankless job, is being a mother. Like you don't get an award there.
No.
I'm assuming, you know, the award would be when your kids start, you know, getting into adulthood, and then you start to see the fruits of your labor kind of pay off, and you see how they react, and you see how they interact with others. It's like, oh man, did I do that?
Right.
Or was it a TikTok that they're seeing? Because my daughter's on social media more than I am, and I hate it, but at the same time, she enjoys her shows, and who am I to say no to that?
So I have so many things to say about that. So the first thing is you're right. And you start to see them a little bit. You've gotten them before when like teachers or friends will compliment your children. That is the accolade. You know, when they're like, your kids are good kids, your kids are kind kids. Like that's the accolade that you get for being a parent. And that makes you feel good. As far as social media goes, and a lot of times people were, at least some of the circles that I ran in, people were like, oh, we don't let our kids on social media. We don't do this, that, and the other. And I was just like, that's almost impossible. And I was like, and you're kind of doing them a disservice. And I first started to get onto social media so I could understand what my kids were looking at. Like there would be things that they were like trying to make fun of me because it was like a trend.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we're going to embarrass mom by making her do this trend. And I would be like, no, I already know what you're doing. Like, get your father. Like I don't know, there was like a weird mustard trend at something. They're like, oh, you have to put mustard on watermelon. And I was like, no. I was like, you make your father do that. But I tell people all the time, I was like, social media has the opportunity to be amazing. Like it's free advertisement. If you run businesses, it's a way to connect with other people. It's a way to find your community. It's a way to see that you're not alone in the things that you go through. I was like, social media is great. And I was like, and you just have to like have those conversations with your kids about like what's right and what's wrong, because you really can't stop it. The people who are like, I don't let my kids do it. I'm like, your kid's probably secretly in the closet or the bathroom on social media, even though you said that they couldn't do it. Or they're at a friend's house and they're on social media and now they don't have anybody to talk to.
Well, I'm glad you said that. What we see is a lot of like our friends or family that say they keep their kids off social media and they don't do it, or they time it they're the ones who come over and where's your pad? Let's put the TV on. Let's put YouTube on.
They're fiending for
And
it.
they're fiending for it.
Mhm.
But they're like my kids, they don't fiend for it. When their friends are over, my daughter's like, Daddy, can you hide my pad?
So nobody asks for
So
it. Yeah.
nobody asks me. I'm like, sure, I could do that. I'm like, why? And she goes, I like to just play.
Yeah.
And I dig that. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. Our parents told us not to sit close to the TV. Like it was going to ruin our eyes.
Yeah.
Are we doing the same thing with our kids with the social media?
I
But
don't know.
I'll tell you, the one thing that scared me was Abby and her friends started FaceTiming each other right before school.
Mhm.
So every morning, 7:15, they're on the pad. I didn't know this. So when I'm listening to this conversation and I hear a dude, like a grown man in the background, I'm like, Abby, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
And she's like, my friends? I'm like, who's the dude? She goes, that's Ava's dad. I'm like, oh, hey,
Oh,
buddy. Good
yeah.
morning. Just want to make sure.
Yesterday, Hunter was doing something. He was on his iPad and I heard this like horrible cough. And I was like, Hunter, are you okay? And he was like, it's not me, it's Nikki. And I was like, oh, I think Nikki needs to go see a doctor. Like, doesn't sound great.
Sound like croup.
Right? I just diagnosed your child. Thank you. You can send me some money.
Yes.
But yeah, it's hard too. And then they're all on their phones. And then I forget sometimes that other people can hear me. Not that I'm like in my house, like screaming curse words or doing anything, but I'm like, are those parents listening to me? Like,
you're falling off chairs.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm falling off chairs. I'm talking about all kinds of things. I'm like, I don't know. It is weird. And it's not like a free for all in our house, but I definitely think people ask me all the time, like different advice. And I'm always just like, just have open conversations with your kids about the things that you're concerned about. Cause you can't stop it. And as well as I do, is the more that you tell them not to do it, the more they're going to want to do it. So I try not to do it that way.
Right. And you know what my wife taught my son?
Oh.
And
He watches Friends.
So everybody watches Friends now. And I'm like, and now he did it to the dog.
Oh.
So he puts the dog's paws together. And I'm like, dude, you don't do this at school, do you? Like, you don't do this to your teacher? And he's like, no. I'm like, you know what it means, right? He's like, F you. I'm like, great. Here we go. I'm like, thanks, Mad. But I mean, I curse like a trucker in front of my kids. But I also want them to understand that people are going to talk like that.
Yeah.
And they ask me why. I said, because I'm uneducated and I have a bad vocabulary. I don't know how to use big words.
So I just use small
So I use small curse words, the 4-letter words that get me in trouble a lot. But it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
And, Abby reads every day. I call her a nerd. And I'm like, you're reading again? I was like, what a dork. And
here, get on your iPad.
Yeah, get on your pad. Like, what are you doing? And it's just, she understands a joke.
Yeah. Well, and that's, yeah.
Yeah. And, having fun with them. And then, if it gets out of hand, then we can correct that.
Yeah.
By explaining to them, hey, there are people who will joke. There are people who will be serious.
Yeah. We teach a lot, like, you better be prepared to take it if you can dish it out.
Oh, big one.
That was like
That's a great one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's important too, because there's still grown-ups who don't understand that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It took, I think, what was I? Probably 28, 29 when I started realizing these things. I had hurt feelings a lot.
Yeah, hurt feelings.
But
Yeah.
I could dish it.
You just couldn't take it.
I just couldn't take it. Sometimes I was like, oh, you're just being real mean. No, they're not. They're dishing just like I'm dishing.
But it's also an opportunity too. Like a lot of times I'll have a conversation because my 3 oldest are girls.
Mhm.
So I'm not there yet with Hunter to have that conversation. But a lot of times too, I try to explain, because now you're in this teenage years where it's like mean girls and mean boys. And it's just like they're not being mean to you necessarily because of anything that you did. Like this is coming from something else. This is coming from either a space of jealousy or somebody's being mean to them in their house.
Mm.
So we talk about that a lot. Like, too, sometimes I always tell my kids, like, sometimes we have to pray for the people who are being mean to us because they're not being mean for any other reason than there's something really bad going on in their life that they can't figure out how to verbalize except any other way, except kind of being a jerk.
Being mean is taught.
Yeah.
It's a reflection on where you learn it, right?
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly believe in that. So Abby came home last week or this, well, I think it was Tuesday, maybe, or Monday. And she's like, a kid on the bus called me ugly, me and my friend Stella. And I'm like, hey, what? She's like,
I'm
yeah,
ready to go. What's his dad's name?
yeah,
Where's he live?
seriously. And I was like, I calmed down and I was like, what do you mean he called you ugly? And she was like, well, the one kid, like the older kids were like, oh, you two are ugly or something like that. And her friend who was in the same grade and his name is AJ and he's a great kid, uh, theater like, right? He loves the theater, which, man after my own heart. I love theater. So he stands up and he's like, they're not ugly. You're ugly. You shouldn't be saying that. And like blasted this kid. And Abby immediately felt safe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have people in your life that will make you feel safe. And you have a lot of people in your life that will try to push you down.
Sure.
So you're on what is it? toolstothrive.org.
Yeah.
So explain your website. What is this?
Well, so after I started doing the isogenics and I started looking into the affiliate marketing, I um started to take some classes about digital marketing. I'm one of those people that just wants to stay up to date on all of the things that are happening and changing in the world.
That's a great picture.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay up on things in the world so that this way I'm in the know, because in the digital space everything moves really fast, but I also like want my kids to know and I want to know for them. Like we talk about affiliate marketing all the time and I'm like, ladies, you guys should be doing this. Like nobody wants to see a 40-year-old woman doing her skincare in her mirror. That's what I'm doing on these TikTok videos. I was like, but you 17-year-old girls, I was like, you guys have all the time in the world to play with all this nonsense and do that. And people are actually being paid very well to do stuff like this. So I took some courses and I learned how to connect some things. And so I just pretty much made a place for all of the things that I created or I'm an affiliate for. Um, I'm an affiliate for a couple of different companies that sell products. I am an affiliate for a couple of different programs that I utilize and I help people use or I teach. I do some digital creation myself. And then I started a podcast and I wrote an ebook, and those are both about my cancer.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I've been noticing, I've been watching a lot of your content about the cancer. That is insane. And I'm glad you shared your story with everybody because that was motivation for me to just
Get your colonoscopy.
no, I don't want anybody going near the rectum yet.
Yeah, you
I
have
know
5
that
more
I
years.
know I'm 40, but I figured I'll wait a few more years until they start
45.
yeah. I wanted a colon cleanse, but I don't know if I
This
can
is different.
yeah, whole different. I don't want to like I wouldn't mind a hose up there, but a camera is a little different.
Well, the colonoscopy is great because you're asleep for that one. You don't even know what's happening. You get some amazing drugs, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you have no clue. But in my case, I woke up and, you're high as a kite.
Mm.
And the doctor's like, yeah, we found something. And I was like, okay. Like, cause I'm still high. Like, I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
And you have like, I went through all of this during COVID. So I was by myself for everything. So that was like really unfortunate because I came out of,
They wouldn't even let Tim in.
no, I was by myself. So
my.
I had, my brain probably had a million questions. I don't know if you've ever had anesthesia, but when you have anesthesia and you wake up, you know what you want to say and you sound drunk. Like I literally woke up and I was like, and like in my head, that was a sentence that made sense.
Right.
But that's how it came out. And then you can hear it come out and you're like, and it takes a while for the anesthesia to wear off and for you to start making sense. But by that time, they've already like discharged you from that space in your home. So yeah, it was interesting, but
as if you're not wearing many hats already.
Yeah.
You had to take on another.
Yeah. Cancer survivor.
You're nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't choose that one.
Oh, you didn't choose?
No,
So I
no.
thought you were like, hey, I really want, like, as life is stressful enough.
Yes.
Please
throw in
a little cancer for me.
Yeah. Throw in a little and throw in the most awkward cancer. Like I always say in jest, like, couldn't I just have breast cancer? Like then I would have gotten like new boobs out of the deal. I was like, I have colon cancer.
So you get a new butt.
No, you don't get a new butt.
Oh, you can't get a butt.
No, you don't get a new butt. You just get somebody looking in it every 3 months.
Well, don't they bleach it? Isn't that a thing that women do?
I mean, it's a thing that women do, but nobody did it for me.
Oh, okay. I would have said, hey, insurance company.
Can you bleach my butt?
Can you bleach my butt? You know, I'll dig that and maybe get some implants.
What, butt implants?
Why not? You wanted boobs.
I just wanted new boobs.
But not a new butt.
No, not a new butt. I don't know. It was wild. And I feel like God never promises that life on this earth is going to be easy.
No.
And people ask all the time, like, why do bad things happen to people? It was never something that God was like, I'm going to give Alyssa cancer. He doesn't do that. But he does promise that he will be with you when you're going through hard things. And he's more concerned with your character, like how you're going to react to the situations that you're in. And so I feel like a part of my purpose, my path to purpose, is that he knew that I was going to be bold and strong about this, and I was going to help a lot of people. And I did. I turned the whole entire experience into a platform on social media. I shared everything from all of the surgeries and the CAT scans and the MRIs and the radiation and the chemo into an open book so that people could know what it looked like, because the only thing that I was scared about was the unknown. Like before I had cancer, I never was in the hospital for anything. I never like broken a bone. I never had surgery. So like I didn't know what it looked like to be in a pre-op room. I didn't know what it looked like to have a MRI. Before I even realized it, when I went through radiation, I mean, I was in the radiation room and they had given me 2 tattoos before I even like had I was like, what just happened? Because they tattoo the site that they have to line you up for in the machine. So like I'm talking to this doctor and the 2 nurses are on either side. They tattooed my legs and I was like,
what they put on there?
It's just a dot.
I was going to say it'd be messed up if they put like a swastika or something.
No, but I mean, not even
like
anything.
Maybe a smiley face.
Not even anything cool.
Yeah.
I was
maybe
like,
some Chinese calligraphy on it.
That I think says hope, but actually says fart.
Or new butt, please.
New butt.
Insert new butt here.
New butt. So that was the whole plan of it. So I had wrote this ebook that had just, it was a very condensed version of things that I think that were important. And then I started this podcast where we could talk about like what to do when you're going through something difficult. And
there's got to be so many people that are fighting the same fight that you're fighting, and you're going through a hard time. You feel like you're by yourself.
Right.
Nobody's ever going to understand this. And when you're pushing that out, that's probably helping so many people
What?
relate to you and kind of go through like, oh my God, so she opened up and she's telling me exactly how I'm going through it. And maybe you push people onto a spiritual path, or maybe you push people into, you know what? Like, I told them I wasn't going back. I'm going back. I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing, right?
Thank you. And God calls us to tell our testimonies. We're supposed to share the things that we go through so that nobody feels alone.
Right.
So that was really important to me. And I did have a lot of messages throughout the whole entire time saying, like, thank you for sharing this. I have to go get the colonoscopy. I'm going to go get it
That's
now.
going to feel
Or,
so good.
or even just like, so for colon cancer, apparently it's on the rise in young people.
Yeah.
Like when I had first gone and started seeing doctors, they're like, we're seeing more and more young people with colon cancer. And of course, I was like, well, why do you think that is? And I mean, I really do. And some of the doctors had agreed with me, think that it's the food and the toxins
Of
that
course.
is in everything.
All the chemicals that they're putting in our foods
Right.
are insane.
So the whole isogenics thing still was very much in line because it was all of this like healthy nutrition, these healthy supplements. I partnered with another like a wellness company that has like non-toxic cleaning products. And
I love it.
so all of that stuff is just important to us because we have to kind of take care of ourselves. But they said that colon cancer is on the rise in young people and the symptoms are embarrassing. Like people don't want to talk about, if they're having bleeding in their stool, and they don't want to talk about if they're having trouble going to the bathroom. Like that's embarrassing and uncomfortable for people. So they brush it under the table until it's too late.
Right.
And so there were a lot of people who were like, thank you, or would just ask questions. I got a lot of random questions. And like, thankfully, I'm just kind of like a cool lady like that. Like I would get random messages on Facebook from people I barely knew. And they're like, can I talk to you about my poop? And I was like, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
tell me. What do you want to tell me?
Right. And call it a BM because I don't want to talk about.
Well, I'm a nurse, so it didn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you.
Never bothers me.
Yeah, see, that's why I couldn't be a nurse. Pee, poopy, and puke, I couldn't do. I can't wipe anybody. I could I still do this to the day with my kids when they need to get
But that's
wiped.
why God made the women have the babies.
That's
not
right.
The men.
Yeah. I mean,
Because you guys are big babies.
No doubt, and I will never disagree with you on that one. One of the best parts, I love how you're talking about God here. One of the best parts that I love, or best lines that I heard was, God breaks you to get you stronger for the next part of what's coming up in life.
Yeah.
And that hit home to me. And I'm like, because when I started, the Navy Yard, I was loving life. I loved everything that I was doing. I always wanted to be a business owner. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to get into something that that I enjoyed. And then I started, I worked my way up. I was a supervisor of like 20 some people and 3 sites. And it was cool. It was like, you're doing really well. You're making it, you're working hard, but it never felt like satisfaction to me.
Okay.
Then I bought the business in 2022, me and my wife. And God broke me numerous times over the last 3 years. And then me and my wife decided to just add more stress because we really love just loading up. So we bought a bakery bakery cafe in 2023. So it was just a year and 5 months later that we bought another business. Then in 2024, I think the universe's way or God's way was like, yo, you're done working at the Navy Yard. And I asked my wife, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, something bad is happening here. And I'm having a fight with the commander. You don't pick a fight with the commander. And it kind of was like poke me, poke him, he poked me. And it went back and forth. And this is my first offense 12 years I was at the Navy Yard,
Mhm.
was doing great. And I got pushed out. But I also think it was God's way or the universe's way of saying, hey, your path is not here anymore. You did what you could. You brought a lot of people, like I brought a lot of people in, I brought a lot of people up, and I still love these people to this day. But now your time is done. So, you know, when you when you went through this, obviously you didn't ask for it. It's not,
But you know what I did? I didn't ask for this, but God gives you what you need. You just don't realize it, especially if you're not like in the word and you're not listening to his voice. You know what I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing was I was trying to control everything.
Just
I
like a mother would.
Oh yeah, I feel like when you said mother, like I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was controlling and I wanted everything to be the way I wanted it to be.
Mm,
And God was like, that's not how this works.
right.
Like, I'm in control and you have to trust me. And so, like, that was the lesson that I learned. And I let go of a lot of control during that whole entire situation. And that's where I seen his hand in it.
I was gonna say a lot of entrepreneurs, they let God drive the bus. And a lot of people are like, hey, it's in God's hands. But you also were not realizing that you picked an amazing partner.
Oh, thank you.
Without a partner like that, and without having somebody to, you know, pick up your 50% or pick up your 80% or pick up your 20% or even pick up your 1% that you're not able to do that day.
Yeah.
Tim, I see, you know, what he did on social media as well. And hey, big fan. Haven't seen you guys in, you know, years. I mean, what was it? I mean, it was probably like 18 years in the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Um, and seeing these things reminds me of what I'm having with my wife. Like,
Yeah.
it's a great partnership. You know, I don't go to church anymore. I don't believe in the Catholic Church. I don't like the fact that they use um, money to pay for priests who had intercourse or had any kind of relations with a kid. I don't like that. And I don't like the fact that, you know, they don't really help the community. It's like, hey, well, you know, we teach the scriptures and you know,
You're
well,
you're in the wrong church.
I understand that. I understand that. And my wife she has an amazing church. She's Russian Orthodox and St. Herman's of Alaska. I got along with more of these people than I did with my own following.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I'm like, oh, I praise that. And then I see Grant Novak.
Mhm.
He's my neighbor.
Yeah.
And I is he a pastor yet or
Yeah, Grant's a pastor.
okay, yeah.
He's our worship
And
pastor.
his father
His
is
his father's our lead pastor,
that's right.
and I grew up Catholic too.
Yeah.
So, like, my mom would drag me to church every Sunday, stand up, sit down, kneel, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Never listened to anything that was said. Never really knew anybody at the church, like apart from like, hey, how you doing? People that you would see. You'd see most of them on Christmas and Easter, and
Mm-hmm.
and then it was nothing. There was like nothing else there, just Sundays at church. And I did the same thing when I got married. We got married in that church. We baptized three of our kids there. We never baptized Hunter
In life or
at St.
oh,
Francis.
okay.
Because that was what you were supposed to do. You have a baby,
Yes.
you put the new baby in the water and all that stuff. And after COVID, all the churches closed down. And so we had nowhere to go.
Mm,
And I was struggling being at home with the kids full time because I was homeschooling everybody.
right.
And that was a lot. And so like a friend of mine from Life Church was like, you should come to our church. She's like, we opened up our children's ministry. She's like, just come just to give yourself a break. She's like, put the kids down in children's ministry. She's like, drink coffee while you listen to the message on Sunday. And I was like, you guys drink coffee during church? I was like, you could never do that at Catholic church. Like, that would be so weird. So I came with my coffee. I sat down. I understood the message. It wasn't this like, first reading, second reading. Like I understood the message, and then there was actually like a life lesson attached to
Mm,
this scripture that's thousands of years old. But what sold me on it was the kids were like, "Can we go back?
mm.
Like we like that. That
Yeah,
was a lot of fun." And downstairs, all of the kids
fun.
have well they're all like separated by their own grades,
Yeah.
so they're doing these crafts and these games and
Sunday
everything,
school,
yeah, is
right?
on their level.
Yeah.
And they came after church and they're like telling me about Joseph, or they're telling me about Ruth, or they're telling me Bible stories, and I was like, we just did CCD every Tuesday night for however many years, and you guys knew nothing.
Mm.
And you go to church on Sunday here and you guys are learning the Bible. So, I mean, that was kind of it. It solidified where we were. But when you're with a good church, a lot of people have church hurt. There's a lot of things that happen when you're at a church because church is still run by man.
Mm.
And so then that's where the problem comes in. So when you come to a church, and hopefully your wife's church is like this too, there is community and people. Like we have Bibles. Wait, you're gonna laugh. I run a Bible study on Monday nights. Never in a million years. All the things that I did as a teenager, all of the things that I run a Bible study on Monday nights, and I have like 12 women who come to my house and we learn scripture, and it is the coolest thing. And it was because of things like TikTok where I seen that Christian women in Bible studies looked like this.
Mm.
I thought Bible studies were like 70-year-old ladies who like sat at the church
No.
rectory and, opened their Bibles and drank their coffee, but it's not like that at all. And so, I mean, I hope that you go with your wife if you like her church, but I hope that you find a place because it's,
Well,
I don't even know what to say.
no. I actually I appreciate that, and I go with her to the events because Russians, they drink during their events.
I go,
So who am I to judge on that? And I partake, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. What it's doing is it's teaching my kids about God.
I thought you were
And
going to say about vodka.
no,
No.
that teaches me about
Okay.
vodka. The kids learn about God. And they do have a community. They have a great place. They help my mother-in-law a lot. With when I kind of stopped going to Catholic church, I grew into a person who enjoyed reading the Bible. Proverbs are my favorite. Um, there's a lot of great scriptures in there, and reading Colossians and Job and a lot of reading the Bible.
They're good stories.
They are great stories, and I did it on my own, and I learned how to pray on my own. The only thing I do miss is the homily. Well, homilies are always my favorite because it's a different interpretation, like something that one of the priests read and did a homily afterward and interpreted the scripture he just read. I'm like, man, I didn't even see it like that. So I'm assuming your Bible study is the same way.
Yes. And like, you're going to laugh. So I go to the gym a few times a week.
Mm.
And I don't know about you, but every time I go to the gym, I'm always curious what people are listening to. You got like all these like men like lifting weights, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh, I wonder what they're listening to.
Megadeth.
Yeah, probably. And I listen to a sermon.
Do you?
Yeah. And Tim.
That gets you pumping?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I get pumped for God. But his name is Rick Warren. He wrote The Purpose Driven Life. And when he breaks down things, you are like, oh my goodness. Like you are just like, wow. Like it is wild because we read the Bible and it's words, but there's so much more than words. I'm listening to this audiobook right now that was talking about, how God created your heart, and your heart has 4 chambers. And they're actually, when he created Eden, which the Garden of Eden is this paradise, he said that, and if anybody's like listening to this is like a biblical scholar, like don't get mad if I like mess this up, but it said that 4 rivers flowed in and out of the center of the garden, which there's 4 chambers that run throughout your heart that
Mm.
run out through the rest of the body. Like God was so meticulous about
Never thought of it like that. I never read it that way. And, you know, I'll read a book and I'll talk to somebody about it, and they're like, I didn't really catch that from that. I'm like, oh, all right. What did you catch? Because I read it this way.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about books. And I have a third grade reading level, and I really stink at it. And audiobooks help me
Yeah.
read. And it's better than putting on the radio
Oh, yeah.
in the truck. And when when I was going down to the Navy Yard, one of the best parts was I would read my book in the morning.
Yeah.
I would read my book on the way home. And that was my decompression, and that was like my kind of pump up. So I would have 2 books at the same time. Something that would pump me up to go in, and something to calm me down when I got home.
Yeah.
Um, there's a book I read by Matthew McConaughey called Green Lights. One of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he read it?
He does. And listening to somebody that, is the voice of Buster Moon on the movie Sing,
Yeah.
that's all I listen to now.
You're so old now.
I
You
know.
referenced him as Buster Moon.
Buster Moon, right. He's nobody.
I have little kids.
He's nobody else. And, we still watch Sing. We watch all the animated movies. Me and my son, we watch a movie every night before we go to bed. It's kind of like our relaxed time. And I'm trying to get him to watch baseball movies like Sandlot.
Yeah, we just did that one. We did
sh-
Angels in the Outfield. That was a
Yes.
cute one. They were so cute.
It-
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield. He loves them all, but he hates the one that I love,
Which one?
Little Big League.
Little Big League.
So Little Big League is a 12-year-old kid. His grandfather passes away, but it leaves him the Minnesota Twins. He's a business owner.
Oh,
And
I get it
and
now.
he
Why
makes
you like
himself
it?
the general manager of the team and knows everything about the sport. He's very good at it, but he's still just a kid. My son hates this movie. I'm like, why?
That's
Is
not
it because I love it?
Yes. Well, yes, that's kids. They like all the things that you hate, and they hate all the
Or going
No.
to this, like so your path to possible came um from enlightened spiritual aspect, or do you think your path was caused by kids? And I always load questions, and I know I need to stop, so I'm going to ask you just the one. Was your path created from an enlightened path?
I just noticed your socks, which are super cute.
Oh, thank you. Boxes.
Boxes.
Yeah.
I
Box and socks.
I th- I think that my path, I think all of our paths are already planned out.
Mm.
And I think that it's when you have a relationship with God, then you are aware of what it is that he's doing.
So it kind of
Um,
nudges you in a different direction.
yeah, like
And if you're
I
not going to listen, I'm going to give you butt cancer.
yeah. I'm gonna give you butt cancer.
And then
we-
then you'll listen.
And then we hope you'll listen. I think that it was already put there, and then I think that we forget that our timing is different than God's timing, and that kind of similar to your story, like when you said that he has to break you, like that wasn't his plan for you. Like sometimes we have to go through hard things because he's got something better planned for us.
That's right.
And so I honestly feel like that was the case here. Like I had to go through some hard things because right now it feels like the plan is to just continue to share about my cancer journey and bring awareness to it and help other people whether it's with like questions or advice or just to be motivation or support. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have this experience. And they say a lot of times God uses um, your pain for his purpose.
Mm.
So yeah, I think everything that I have done has prepared me for it. Like, I think about how interesting it would have been to go through that without being a nurse. A lot of the things that happened after I had cancer, and this is this weird world that we live in, and I still work as a nurse, so I can speak to this completely, is we live in this weird world now where either we don't have enough medical staff to take care of the amount of sick people that we have. Like when I was going through chemo, well, first of all, I wore an ostomy bag for a year. Like I had a bag.
Mm.
You know what that is?
Yes.
I had a bag that,
Yeah.
okay. Because I don't want to say poop and then
Well,
like make you barf again.
you asked for a new butt, but that's
Yeah, well, so they did.
It's kind of like a butt.
Yeah, they gave me a butt in my stomach. So that was fun. And there was nobody to, like, I had 2 wound care nurses come visit, but then that was it.
Mm.
And then I had to take care of it myself, which was fine because I was a nurse. But I just sat there going, what if you weren't a nurse?
I was going to say, did they not do it because you were a nurse?
No. And I had,
Or
when
is
I
that
was-
just insurance being insurance and
just
don't?
insurance being insurance. When I had chemo, I was dehydrated. So they set me up with fluids.
Mm.
And every Monday, I would get the fluids delivered. And they would be like,
Here.
yeah, there you go. And I was like, are you guys doing this because I'm a nurse and like, you know how? And they're like, no, we do this for everybody. Like, we don't have the manpower to give people IVs every week. So literally there was like
YouTube it.
Yeah, there was a picture that came in my packet that was like step 1, step 2. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this would be mortifying for somebody who didn't know how to do it or somebody who was old.
Right.
Like maybe your hands didn't work. Like I had to put like my IV together and I was like, what if your hands didn't work? Like, well, so I always think like being a nurse prepared me for what I had gone through. But then all of it.
And after chemo, you're probably like exhausted.
My
right? You were so happy about the tattoo. You were probably
I was.
on
I was
cloud
like,
nine.
yes, I'm halfway through a leg sleeve.
Yeah.
It's literally, you wouldn't even know it looks like a freckle, but I know. When we play 2 truths and 1 lie, I'm like, I have 2 tattoos, and they're like, that's a lie, and I was like, no, I do. They're just really small.
That's awesome. You should start connecting them.
Around to the backside, they're on either hip.
Yeah. Just a big line.
Now I don't remember what I was saying.
It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're delusional right now.
I'm
It's okay.
delusional. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's cool. You know what? So the enlightened path
hmm
that you went through was probably.
I remember what I was going to say
Okay, go ahead.
because you brought it up. So thank you. That
You're
was
welcome.
a good job. You wouldn't believe it, but I probably felt the most joy during my chemo experience.
Really?
Yeah. So much so that I remembered at the beginning of this year, like praying for joy. Like I just felt like I was going through like such a rough season that I was like, I just want the joy that I had. And joy doesn't mean that things are going well. Joy just means like a peace in your heart. And I had like such peace in my heart during chemo. And it was because I took myself out of like the driver's seat and I was like, this is your plan. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do whatever it is you want me to do. I'm clearly here to meet people or to be in this situation. And so I did. I tried to like just use that opportunity sitting in there. I was clearly the youngest person sitting in that room. And that's like a mind game. Like to walk into a room with like
Yeah. and
70-year-old people.
They were probably staring at you
who
like,
were sick.
What are you doing here?
I know. And I was always like, should I do a cartwheel? Can I do a cartwheel? Is it weird if I do a cartwheel down the hallway? And they're like, don't
Just
don't,
do a split.
don't do they're like, don't do that.
Show 'em
I'm
your-
like trying to make TikTok dances in there. And I'm like, this lady's like looking at me and she's like all hooked up to her chemo. And I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
I have to do it for the gram.
Not grams.
No.
The Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
the Instagram.
Just want to make sure that you're not talking about the 70, 80-year-old lady getting chemo.
No. That was funny.
Um, so I pray every day that God doesn't put me through that because I turned holistic and I don't even take an aspirin. I don't do ibuprofen. I don't do any of that. It's all vitamins and vodka. So anything that comes up, I'm scared because I'm like, man, when push comes to shove, am I gonna buckle and go in and let the hospital work whatever they have to? Because there's a lot of people that survive this. Go
Juicing.
juicing, right?
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't. You know what? Take me out. If I have to drink my food, we got problems.
So I struggled with that too. And
Juicing.
no, somebody did give me a book though, because I read all of these books. I read so many books when I went through it. There was
I'm
this one
sure.
book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, and it's a fantastic read. And it talks about like other things that you experience. And it talks about like the trauma in your body can cause problems to arise. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that stress is so bad for you.
Stress, parasites.
But it talked about like just different things. Like you could look, she had this like list and it was like related to problems, and it was just like for instance, kidney stones. If you had kidney stones, it said that you probably had a collection of unresolved anger. And I was like, I know a couple of people who have chronic kidney stones, and I was like, if that's not right on the head, I don't know what is. But like even for like the colon stuff, it was you probably have issues with control.
Oh, geez.
And so like all of that stuff. So yes,
That's interesting.
so
Because you were just talking about how
it's a
you
great
needed
book.
to control everything,
Yep.
and it went right to the butt.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So I actually have a podcast right now that talks about faith and medicine and how the two don't have to be one or the other.
Right.
And I talked to a woman early on because I was so into natural solutions for things. And she was somebody that I didn't know. Somebody had connected me with her. And she had talked about how when she had gone through breast cancer, she was like, I don't know. She was like, I wasn't going to do radiation. She was like, because there was nowhere in the Bible that said that that was something to do. Because a lot of people, like when you read the Bible, like this is what they follow. And it's, even though it's thousands of years old, it's still super relevant as far as like how you should treat your wife, how you should parent your children, like all of the rules of how to live are in the Bible. So she was like, I never seen it in there. And she's like, and then I remembered the story. And I don't know if you know the story, but there were three men. Their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were friends with Daniel. And they wouldn't bow to the king at the time. They said, God is our only king. So this king threw them into a fiery furnace. And they were thrown into the furnace. The furnace was so hot, the guards that threw them in burned just throwing them in. And when they were in the furnace, the king said he could see them walking around, and there was a fourth person in the fire with them, looked like the Son of Man. So this woman had said to me, she was just like, Alyssa, she's like, I remembered that story. And she's like, and radiation is literally setting yourself on fire from the inside out. And she was like, so she's like, if the Bible is telling me that I can be thrown in the fire and that God will be with me, she was like, then that's what I did. And I remember doing that. I had to have my pelvis radiated. And so the worst part about radiation, apart from having to go every day, is the burning. Like people get fried.
Yeah.
And I wasn't burned at all. And that's like, if you've ever gotten sunburn in like private places, like it's the first thing that fries.
You see how white I am?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, but I'm just saying like.
I get sunburn opening up the fridge. So yes, I
didn't
understand what you're saying.
I had 25 rounds of radiation and I never got burnt.
25 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's insane. I'm glad. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He gave me chills talking about the fourth person in the fire.
It is crazy. If you've never been, there's this theater in Lancaster. It's called Sight and Sound Theater.
Okay.
And you love theater.
I do love theater.
They do these immersive shows. They run for a full year. Right now they're doing Noah. They did Daniel. When I tell you, we went to go see Daniel last year, and Daniel's the story, you know, where they throw Daniel into the lion's den and the lions don't eat him. Everybody knows that.
That's right.
So they have this story and it's about all of them. It's immersive. The whole theater is 360 degrees. live animals in there. Like at one point there were camels walking up the aisle. Like you're sitting in there. It's music and dancing and then the story. It is so cool. You have to take the kids.
Right.
It is so cool. They're doing Noah this year. So if there were some animals for Daniel, I can't even imagine
I was
what
gonna
will
say
be
he
there.
had double.
Yeah.
You know,
So
he had one of each or two of each.
It will be, it's amazing. If you like theater and you want to take the kids to see something, it is an experience.
That's interesting. I'll definitely
Look
tell the
at it.
wife because the wife will set it up.
Yeah,
She
well, of
sets me
course.
up on everything. And you know, she's like, "Oh, I got 5 shows to go to this summer." I'm like, "When? When did you?" I'm like, I see the account get drained. I'm like,
Yeah.
What did you spend $400 on?"
We're going to see 3 Broadway shows in New York.
Yes. Well, we support Upper Darby's theater.
Oh, yeah?
We love their place. They do fantastic shows every
My
year.
daughter's in them.
Nah.
Mhm.
Do I know her?
I don't know. Do you?
I no. I'm saying, what was she in last year or the year before that? They just did like the Bird Book. Why can't I think of
The
this?
Pigeon?
The Pigeon and the
Did they? No, that's Swarthmore Players Club, right?
I thought it was Upper Darby's.
So she does both.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we do Upper Darby's theater. I
Right.
forget what it's called.
The Summer Stage ones?
Summer Stage. Yes. Thank
so
you.
Last year the kangaroo one? Did you see Dot and the kangaroo? That was
I didn't go last year.
Oh.
I think I had to work. She went last year, and the year before that is when I went. And I think that was the Pigeon and the Descendants. I think they did.
She's done them.
The Descendants were fantastic.
She's done them every year. She's a part of like their the Shooting Stars, which is like the special program.
Love it.
So she does that, and then she does the shows all the time. We
Very
can't keep
cool.
up with her.
I'm sure.
We just drove her, and now she drives herself.
Oh,
I know.
sorry.
I know.
That's one down.
Seriously.
3 to go. 4 kids.
4 kids.
A mom. A nursing career.
Yeah.
Isogenics.
Yeah.
Starting your own business.
Podcast.
And
Yeah.
cancer.
Cancer.
And, hold on. And a husband who was
Yes.
a military man, and we thank him for his service.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. I think it was Marines, right?
Yeah.
The toughest of the tough.
That's right.
Yeah. And how do you do it?
Oh man. Every single day is like minute by minute.
So for aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring people who want to be a nurse, aspiring people who want to be a mom and a cancer survivor, you have to, I'm assuming your schedule has to be blocked out properly.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just go on the fly and be like, hey, yo, I'm going to do this today. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be blocked out, making lunches in the morning, asking Tim, like, hey, I need you 6 a.m. Let's rock and roll. Let's get the kids out the door. And then we can talk or however. But explain that your blocked scheduling system, time management, I guess you can call it, is a better word for it. How does that work for you with all the things that you got going on?
Well, me and Tim are up at 4:30. Like we get up at 4:30.
That's me.
He usually goes to the gym if he doesn't have to be in work early enough, and then he heads out to work. And then I spend my mornings with God.
Okay.
I do all my Bible study. I do all my prayers. And then I'll set up some of my schedule in the morning before everybody wakes up. And by the time I wake everybody up, I'm like ready to go for whatever the day is. Every day looks different. I'm one of those people that I utilize the time that I have. So like I will listen to audiobooks in the car when I'm driving around, and they're usually relevant to they're most of the time they're mindset books. Like you're never going to catch me like listening to like a Colleen Hoover book, which is like the popular girl author that like all the ladies read right now. Like
okay.
so
it's like fiction.
Right. Like nothing against it, but I'm always going to listen to something that is like mindset or business.
Right.
I go to the gym if I can. And I also like, that's when I, listen to like sermons and different stuff like that. And then I always just try to allow the day to kind of like guide me, like I mean, you've heard this before. Like if God didn't want you on this earth today, you wouldn't be breathing right now. So every day is an opportunity for whatever it he has in store for me. So I'm always like open to who I'm going to meet and like situations that I'm going to be in. And then every day is different depending on what I'm working on.
Mm.
So like some days I'm working on like recording content and podcasts, and some days I am working on like our digital marketing business. And
So do you have it mapped out for the
yeah,
week
I
or?
I usually map it out based upon like if I'm still working some nursing shifts, I might map it out around there. I don't really watch TV. Like
Oh,
you're
okay.
not gonna see me like sitting down at the end of the night like watching 2 to 4 hours of anything. If I do watch something, it's like 4 years old and everybody's like I was watching something the other day for Memorial Day weekend and I was like, "Oh, Nina, did you see this new movie?" And she's like, "Mom, that's 9 years old." And I was like, "Oh, it looked new to me."
Yeah.
I don't know. Um,
It's also a good thing though when, a lot of people are like, "Man, I wish I could watch that again."
Watch what again? I don't even wanna watch it the first time.
No, I'm saying when you see something new
Oh,
and, you read something new, you're like, "Man, I wish I didn't read that yet. I wish I would have, saved that for another day."
yeah.
Um, no, I completely understand. So I'm a TV person.
What's
And
good right now?
and what's that?
What's good right now?
I, old stuff.
Okay.
So if I just need noise in
Yeah.
the background. If I'm not reading my book or if I got something on my mind, I just need like a background noise. I don't pay attention to a lot of things.
Mhm.
Um, I used to study with classical music because there was no words,
Yeah.
but I just needed noise.
Right.
And I can't have dead silence because then my brain will start going, oh, then I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. And no, 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 man, stay on task, stay focused. And, sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's a book. Sometimes it's a mindset. Sometimes it's enlightened. My brother, I think he was the one who taught me the three E's, um, in exercise, enlighten, and educate.
Mhm.
Those are the three things you should be doing every morning.
Yeah.
Um, so which is great. So I enlighten, but I do it on my own way.
Yeah.
You're definitely doing scriptures. You're doing this. Me, I like to maybe read a passage and then try to think of how many ways can I interpret this?
Yeah.
How many different things can I take from this?
Yeah.
Uh, did that help? All right, read another one.
Mm.
If it didn't help, all right, go to a different book
Yeah.
and see if I could do it that way.
Yeah.
Um, I try to exercise, and it's tough. Um, and you're pushing yourself through these things. What helps us get to the next level? And sometimes I'm so out of touch with myself. And I'm like, all right, how do I get back on track?
Yeah.
And getting back on track is one of the hardest things because obviously, you're saying you'll let the day take take over. Me, if I let the day take over, I'm like, oh man, that was a bad day. And I got things done, and we always feel like it's a failed day. And then sometimes it's hard to come back from it. And you have one failed day. All right. Next day is like, then like you can't get motivated again. And when you can't get motivated and you can't jump and you feel like you're failing your family, you feel like you're failing God, you feel like you're failing your business or your workplace or whatever it is, what's the one thing that gets you back on track and how long does that last?
Well, let's make something clear. Motivation is non-existent.
Okay.
We need discipline.
I love it. All
It's
right.
there's
Now you're talking my language.
you can't motivation is a feeling, it's not a habit.
Right.
So
Right.
like that's not a thing. You have to be disciplined. And so there's like daily disciplines that I do, and that's like my Bible study. But if you think about it, like for me and what I believe is that my purpose here on this earth is to be the hands and feet of Jesus. So that's what I need to accomplish. And I'll do it in the way of all of these other things.
Mm.
You know, like when I say I keep my day open, it's because I'm looking to see like who I can help or who I'm going to bump into or who I'm going to meet. And then I'm going to hopefully be able to encourage or share with them something that I found. Um, I mean, that's how I do it. I just stay disciplined in the things that I know I need to do. Um, and those are like non-negotiable. Like I have to post on social media multiple times a day. That's non-negotiable. Um, and I have to spend some time in the word. That's non-negotiable. And but then sometimes, and I don't know if this is like more of a mom thing, but I have to be fluid. You know, like there's days where I might have everything planned out and then I get a phone call from the nurse and it's like, your kid is sick. And I was like, leave them there. Send them back to class. They'll be fine.
Who is this?
A wrong number.
Wrong number, right? Click. No, so you're saying two words that I've been trying to push hard on myself, and I haven't. Look, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I am not good. I, I falter every day. I fail every day, and I try to get better. And discipline and non-negotiables, because after a long day, I do go home and I have a drink, and it helps me kind of unwind when the kids are home, because the kids come home and they're crazy, they're wired, and
Yeah.
it's like, did I drop them off at school or did I drop them off at Gigi's house or their grandmother's house? And they get wired up with sugar and they come home and they're so amped up because they just got done doing a great day.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have a great day, I'm like, wow, they had a great day. My wife had a great day. I'm the loser of the group. And so I'll have a drink and I'll try to get on their level, and we'll dance and we'll have fun and we'll play games and we'll do this and we'll talk about school. Falling off the tracks, sometimes it's a 3-week condition to get back on track. And when you're doing great for 6 months and then fall off and it's 4 weeks and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
come on. And then you pray more, or you feel like your prayers aren't being answered. And then you feel like you're going through the muck and you're going back and forth and you're like, the only question is why? But in philosophy class, there was a professor, I can't remember when, his his final in his class the question was why? Well, there were students that were filling out booklets and asking for another and given all this. There was, I think, one student that answered it and said, why not? And left.
Yeah.
And
I
they were
love
there
that.
for 5 minutes, left, got a A+ in the class. And it was pretty cool because the answer to why is, well, why not? Why not go through the muck? Why not go through really hard times? And these questions plague me every day because I have no clue. Some days I'm like, man, why didn't you give me the strength? Or why did you give me the weakness to go through this? And why am I, there were days, what was it? There were days last year that, sometimes I think it was like 9 in the morning. I made a drink because I couldn't believe the amount of panic that I had going on. My hands would shake. I would get real vibrant. I would sweat. Like it was just like screaming out of me. And it wasn't like I had a drinking problem. I didn't know what else to do. And I don't take medicine. So I was like, you know what? Let me just have a drink. And it would like my hands would be like this. And I would calm down and I'm like, oh man, what happened? What is going on?
I think sometimes.
You're scaring me. You're about to hit me
Oh.
with something big. I'm gonna get ready.
Oh, okay. Well, um, this is just something that I've experienced, but people will often say, like, I've been praying and God's not answering my prayers,
Mm.
or God doesn't hear me. God hears your prayers. He knows them. You don't even have to say them. Sometimes people are like, I don't pray because I don't know what to say. It doesn't matter. Like, God's like your best friend. You can talk to him just like you would be talking to your best
Just
friend.
talk.
Um, God answers prayers. He just doesn't do them on our own time.
Mm.
And so that's the part that we struggle with, where we're like, no, no, God, I'm asking for this now. I need your help now. I need you to change me now. I need you to fix me now. That's not, God doesn't work on the same time as us.
Right.
It's when we are obedient in faith to him and we keep trusting that his perfect plans will come to fruition, that we see the blessing that's attached to it. So, I mean, the only thing I can say is to just encourage you not to give up. I mean, I'd love for you, for God to answer prayers like instantly.
Right.
Like, God, cure. I mean, and it took me a really long time because I would say this often, like, God, please heal my cancer. God, please heal my cancer. God, please heal my cancer. And that was my prayer for the longest time. And then finally it changed and it was like, God, please heal my cancer. But if it's not your will, then let me just know that you're with me. Because, like, that's the thing. Not everybody's prayers are answered on this side of the earth. And that's a hard thing for people to understand.
That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Not,
just hits that hits hard. Not on this side of the earth.
yeah.
Wow.
Because if cancer were to have taken my life, or if it does take my life later on down the road, when I get to heaven, I will be healed. My prayer will be answered.
Right.
It's just not going to be here.
Right.
We're not supposed to be here. We're the only reason why we're here on this earth right now is to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to help other people and to love other people. And that's hard to do because, I mean, I'm sure if you could remember anything of me from when I was younger, I was not a person who loved other people easily.
Right.
I was a very difficult person. And that's a shame because
Italian.
I was Italian, bean girl, Delco, whatever you want to call me. But it's a shame because, like, when we go back now and, like, we see people that we knew when we were younger and we were, like, not nice to them, and I feel bad about that. Like, I wish I was a better person than I was.
I was nice to everybody.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, what a way to make me feel bad.
Yeah. No, I was mean, but in joking manners.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say I was a bully.
Right.
I would say that I was just a mean jokester.
Yeah.
Because comedy or joking was more of like my way of dealing with social anxieties.
Right. I always tell my kids, the teenage girls especially, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Like, when
I love it.
people are mean to us,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with us.
No.
It's them. Something going on with them.
Right. And it wasn't like I was actually going after people. I would make a joke about, butt cancer and
Butt cancer.
and it's like
So sometimes we joke.
I don't know
'cause
how
we don't know, right. We don't know what to say.
Yeah,
It's so uncomfortable. Right.
And I watch Modern Family. I'm a big nerd on Modern Family. I love it. And Claire, the one mom, every time she says, like, talks about death, she smiles real big. She's like, he died. And they're like, you think this is a joking matter? And she's like, I don't.
I'm just uncomfortable.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, you still do that? It's funny.
Uncomfortable.
And sometimes you don't know how to take people.
Yeah.
But in a business sense, you don't know how to take people either.
Oh, true story.
Do you have any experiences with that?
Well, my first experience in working was nursing, and that was interesting because, like you said, this is this thankless job. People didn't really care, especially in the hospital setting. We were constantly, like, putting Band-Aids on people's problems. Nobody wanted to get better in a sense of, like, fixing themselves. They just wanted to come to the hospital and get their cardiac stents or, get their blood sugar under control, and then they wanted to leave and then go back to McDonald's and do it all over again.
Right.
In a business sense, yeah, I feel like it's not easy working with other people. I've always gravitated towards working for myself and by
Right.
myself because that seems to be like the easy thing to do. But I'm learning that, like we work better as a team and collaborating. I did like that about network marketing is that
Mm.
you could leverage a team and everybody's income just benefited the bottom line. So that was, interesting to know. Um, and then I just like the networking and collaborating fact. Like I love that people are stepping into their passion and they're doing things that they want to do that they might have been scared to do or they're not interested in doing. Things that are not the typical 9 to 5, because honestly, that's what we all should be doing.
Mm.
Like you said something about like loving your job. Not a lot of people love their job or love what
No.
they do. And I couldn't imagine hating something I did and having to do that every single day.
And people they sit there and will say, I hate my job, but I can't leave. What am I gonna do?
Mm,
And what am I gonna do for money?
yeah.
That was me and my wife.
Yeah.
When I left the Navy Yard, I'm like, oh man, we lost our cushion, we lost our money. But thank goodness the businesses were doing well to pay our bills. Like I don't I'm not gonna have 10 grand to go to Cabo. I'm not gonna have,
Join Isogenics. I'm
right,
just
yeah,
kidding.
right. And it's just like add another thing to the list.
Seriously.
Me and my wife always joke. I'm like, we love piling on everything.
Hmm.
We bought a house August 7th of 2015.
Okay.
Our wedding day was October 9th, 2015. I'm like, so we bought a house. We're doing this. We had 9 weddings the year before. So like our money is
Yeah.
just
You had no money.
powder. And we would always hope for like to find change in the couch to go buy pizza. And and then after we got married, here comes Abby the next year in November, but she got pregnant in February. And I'm like, we just we couldn't even enjoy marriage for a year.
Yeah.
We wanted a kid right away. And we have no idea that it just happened, And one of the scary parts about pregnancies that I'm noticing with a lot of friends and family and people that are on social media is you can't ask anybody if they're trying to have a kid. And, we were very open, like, yeah, we're trying and it's going to be on God's will. Like, we're not trying this day. We're not, oh, we're ovulating. Let's go.
Yeah.
It was always on God's plan. And I never wanted my wife to stress
Hmm.
because stress was a killer
Yeah.
of,
Make you sick.
people getting pregnant. And, then I started seeing a lot of people like stressing out.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm like, that has to be affecting, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I would assume so too. Um, but yeah, pile everything on, do everything at once, and then the two businesses, you know, a little after a year, losing a job. How do you keep it together?
I don't.
You
You
don't,
think you think that I thank you. I'm doing a great job of keeping it together.
right?
I listened to a sermon. Yep,
Okay,
last night at the gym. I was lifting my weights.
yeah, pump, getting
Pu-
that God pump.
Yeah. And he literally said, nobody is perfect.
Mm.
Stop trying to pretend that you're perfect. It's exhausting.
But
And I
social
was like,
media tells us every day that
right, right, right.
the women that wake up right out of bed and their makeup is perfect.
Right. And I will always come onto social media as my truest self.
Right.
The only time I don't feel comfortable sharing things now is like when it's my kids
Mm.
because they're getting well, they follow me, but they're also like, please stop telling our business on here. But I'm like, but it's so hilarious. Like you're gonna die. I had to fill out a form for Nina because she'll be a senior next year, and it was, like, for college, and it was like a brag form for them for college that the parents fill out. The question said, "Why would your child be a good roommate?" And I was like, "How do I respond to this?" I was like, "I want to say she won't. She's a disgusting pig, and anybody who lives with her is going to probably have mice or roaches because she's so gross that I cannot imagine anybody would want to be." But I didn't. I, like, wrote and I was like, "She's a great big sister, and
I'm
so
won-
she's used to sharing," and
I'm wondering if there are parents who tell the truth like that. Or now with the AI generated chat GPT,
yeah, just
like,
put it
hey,
in there.
answer this for me. And it's gonna spit out like the perfect answer
Yeah.
that we would never ever say.
I don't even know if anybody reads these kinds of things anymore for that reason, but I try to show up as my true self because I don't want anybody to ever think that you have to have it all together or that things have to be perfect. They're not.
Mm,
I don't think it's easy for most people, and I think that um we have to stop doing that. Like, even in this social selling space, when people are like, "Oh, all you have to do is post this twice a day," or "All you have to do
mm,
is make this on Canva and you're gonna make six figures." That's not true. You're lying to people now. Like, why are
right.
you doing that?
Gets them
Like,
in the door.
yeah, but you know what? It also, I think, depreciates the value of what I've spent years trying to figure out how to do. Like, yeah, anybody could do it if they want to, but it took a lot of work and it took a lot of sacrifice from different things.
Right.
And people need to understand that. I think, like what you were saying, is important. Life is short. You should not spend your time here on this earth doing things that you hate.
Right.
Like, you should be able to use your gifts and your passions to do other things that can help people by starting a podcast or starting a business or, um, writing a book or selling something online. Like, you should absolutely do that. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work and it's probably going to um cost you money or stop you from making as much money if you decide to leave your job. But
Right.
we've seen people do that before, like they just start driving for Uber on the side while they're building their business.
They
And
make good money.
yeah, well,
They make like $1,000 a week if they
I know
want.
they do make good
That's
money.
wild.
It just makes me laugh though, because like nobody in my house is allowed to Uber Eats. Like, if you want something, you better go to the store and get it yourself. Lazy. Like, you're not calling somebody up to have delivered to your Uber Eats.
No comment. Wait, no, because all right,
Okay.
the only reason why we Uber Eats, and I'll give you this. During COVID, our Chinese store was closed,
Uh-huh.
and there was a place in Fallcroft that I really wanted, and we were drinking, so I wasn't getting in the truck and going.
Yeah.
So we Uber Eats, and it was like $85.
Yes.
so,
Yes. Do you understand that?
so,
Why I said
so
that?
there's a lazy tax in it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the lazy tax, I understand. Like, all right, I gotta pay it. I'm an idiot for doing this. I should have thought about what we wanted to eat before that. I mean, we haven't ordered from there in a while, but yes, I I get what you're
That's
saying.
why they make $1,000 a week, those Uber Eats drivers.
You're not allowed to sit on judgment on anybody,
Yep.
miss.
No. There was slight judgment, but
Oh, she's reverting back to the 8th grade ways.
oh,
I
man.
get it.
Mean the
So
mean
mean.
girl, the mean
Yeah.
girl's coming out.
Yeah, I get it. You're what's her name? Um, from Mean Girls?
Regina
Regina
George.
George. Yes, you're Regina George and me.
That's so funny.
Hey, so give me so we're gonna wrap this up. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs, nurses, anybody that's coming up? High school, 20s, 30s, and, even 40s. I mean, you didn't find God until what,
Yeah.
30, 32, 33?
Yeah.
Well, actually, you're 31 now.
I'm
So,
31.
yeah, yeah,
I just keep
I
getting
got you.
younger as
So,
this segment is going on.
uh, give some inspiring information. Like, where should we go? How should we get there?
Well,
Load it.
load it. Okay, well, I mean, we should take God along the way, always,
Mm,
always, just because he wrote this beautiful book that gives us instructions on how to do life in the most wonderful way possible.
mhm,
So I always, if I'm looking for things too, I have found, and I'm so glad that we were created for such a time as this, that we live in social media and I can pull up my Bible app and I can just search, for scripture about, God's purpose for your life. Um, but when you recognize the spiritual gifts or the attributes that you have, and you find a way to use them in life, like you're gonna feel so fulfilled.
mm,
Um, I think I think nursing is great. I mean, I had this conversation, I think, with some high schooler kids trying to explain to them, please look into careers that cannot be replaced with AI because pretty soon everything that is happening right now is going to be non-existent because
mhm,
AI can replace that. So be mindful of that. Um, but also don't be afraid to look outside of the box. Like a traditional 9 to 5 job is great. And that's some people love that, but like that's not the end all be all here. Like
mm.
there's so many amazing and crazy things that we can do now in this world. Don't be afraid um, to just put yourself out there and try it. And then also understand that it doesn't always hit the first time.
Right.
Like, and you're a baseball player, right? Like, I don't do sports analogies, but like the stats, you have to try more than once.
Yes.
You can't just do something once and be like, that didn't work. That's not for me. Like
Mhm.
the consistency and the dedication to what you're doing will pay off. Um, it has to just,
I mean, just like working out.
yeah,
Like, you need more than one repetition.
I know. So annoying though.
Well, I mean, however, whatever gets you through your sermon,
Right.
right?
Whatever gets me through my sermon. Um, Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for I will always be a fan of social media,
Mm,
because I feel like it's such a great place for people to be able to put themselves out there.
right.
Um, and so I just tell people, just don't be afraid to try something new and take God along the way with you. Because if you are walking with God, He will tell you when you're going the direction that you are supposed to be going, and when you're not, you will feel you will feel the feelings of that. Like you will feel like whether it's conviction or uneasiness about what you're doing. That's a God wink.
Right. It's amazing.
Mm.
Amazing advice. It was great to reconnect with you.
Yeah.
I loved hearing your path. Uh, so how can anybody find you on social media, or social media, your website, if you can?
So social media on Facebook, I'm Alyssa Agavino /Kilgore. On Instagram, I'm thrive underscore through underscore the underscore fire. So thrive through the fire with underscores. My podcast can be found on any place that you can find podcasts. It's called Thrive Through the Fire. And you can also check out my website. It's tools to thrive, the number 2.org. And you can see all of the different things that I'm connected with.
This is fantastic. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for
Yeah, no
coming.
problem. Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate everything. Hey, and we are signing out. Thanks, Dylan. Thank you, Young Junk, for having us here in their amazing studio.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you.
Young John.